Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WTF with Alan Stevens, Dr. Chris Willems, and me, Angela Heiser. So today we're going to talk about courtesy and
Kindness.
appreciation, really, and kindness, the
Yes.
way we deal with each other. And I think I'm the one who gives the example first, right? Just checking,
Yeah.
Yep,
because that was
absolutely.
that was the one where my jaw just dropped to the floor.
Mm.
We were in the elevator, and I was standing there with a guy, and this woman was running towards us, and it was very clear that she really wanted to get on the elevator. And the guy next to me calmly reached over to the close button and closed the door right in her face. And I was flabbergasted. And he felt clearly in the right, you know.
Mm.
And I'm
He's in
just,
a hurry.
what has the world come to? I mean, seriously, again, I had another situation on a bus. I'll give you a second one and then I'll hand it over to you. But this one was the one that baffled me equally. So I was on the bus. This was in Sydney. And at the front of the bus, there are always these red seats that are reserved for people with, who need to sit for because of disability, pregnant women, older people, all of that. And there were four young boys just, stretched across with their backpacks everywhere. And there's somebody of advanced age got on, and they just sat. There was no movement.
Mm.
And I just couldn't help myself. I reached over, tapped one of the guys on the shoulder, and I said, "Are you ill?" And he's like, "No." And he said, "Oh, so you must be of really advanced age then." "No." "Oh, you're definitely pregnant in that case." And he's like, "No." I said, "So why are you sitting in the seat then?"
Mm.
I said it kindly. "Why are you sitting in the seat then?" And I pointed at the older person, and to his credit, he went bright red, bumped all of his guys, and just got up and made space. But they were all absorbed in their phones. They weren't even talking to each other. There was no eye contact. They didn't even look up to see if somebody got on the bus to check if somebody needed the seat.
Yeah.
And it's that
Yeah.
self-absorption, that me first.
Mm. Yeah. Well, see, there's
That
two
really,
examples you gave there. Number one was where the person was just outright rude and self-absorbed. And the second one was when the person was just unattentive, wasn't
mm,
aware, caught up in their own stuff, but
yeah.
wasn't being nasty about it because as soon as you pointed it out, the red face and everything goes and think, oh my God, I didn't think of that. So the embarrassment that went with that. But the person in the lift, completely different attitude. And that was, my time is so important. Couple of seconds. How much
Mm.
does he get paid an hour?
Mm.
What does he actually deliver in that period of
Who
time?
knows?
Yeah.
Who
We
knows?
we no longer consider other people, and we
Mm.
wonder why people then don't consider us. Because as they say, we've got to give respect before we receive it. It's the same as if we open a bank account, we've got to put money into it before we can take money out of it.
Yeah.
We have to
Indeed.
be present. We have to actually do that first. We expect it from other people. If we can't be courteous in that to other people, we have no right to expect it from anybody.
Well,
Yeah.
indeed. Actually, I had a similar situation on a train a couple of years ago. I had a hip replacement, and I had to use a crutch for a while. And I was on the train, and similarly here in Queensland, you have special seats for people with disability or injured or pregnant or old. And I fitted two of those categories, not the pregnant one. But it was a fairly busy, a fairly crowded train, sort of approaching peak hour, and I was walking along the carriages looking for a seat, and there were obviously able-bodied blokes sitting in the seats reserved for the seniors, the pregnant, the injured, the disability, and they just looked at me.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, okay. So I kept walking until I reached one that was a long, you can walk through the whole train. And I approached one, and there was an Indian gentleman sitting in the seat. And he looked at me and he immediately got up.
Mm.
And by that stage, I said, no, look, it's fine. I'll stand. So, for the person who actually did the right thing, I was very happy for him to keep the seat. Uh,
Yeah, but may I make a point? When
yeah.
somebody does that for you, take them up on it because you're
Well, I
also
said thank
showing
you.
the people
I did
around
say
you.
thank you. Yeah, and I
No,
said
no,
thank
but
you.
you're showing people around you that it
Mm.
is a courtesy that you can accept because the moment
Mm.
you say no to something, people stop bothering.
Yeah, good
Mm.
point. Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
indeed.
that's the thing. That's going to the deeper level again to be fully aware of what we're doing, thinking about the actions that we're about to take and what impact does that have on people.
Mm.
Mm. Mm.
That I
Yeah.
think is something that I've been becoming more aware of, and that when I'm around people, instead of just reacting to things, I'm going, okay, what's actually the best way to handle this? What lessons do other people get as well?
That's a good point because in those kind of social situations where there's lots of
Mm.
people observing,
Mm.
it's a very good point you both make about that. That yes, you should accept the kindness because
Yeah.
it's a bit.
Well, when the person actually said, please sit down here and that, well, there's a certain level of shock after having gone through the whole thing to actually find somebody that does that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, that might have been very much a natural reaction for most people. Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just relief that somebody actually did it.
Yeah. But the fact that it took, half the train length to find someone who would actually stand up and do the right thing, I thought that was pretty telling. But I have an elevator story as well. This kind of opposite to Angela's, where I was at a workshop and it was lunchtime and everyone was crowding in the lift to go downstairs to get some lunch. And lifts, as you know, have a limit of the number of people, and so I'm a bit claustrophobic, and so I decided not to get into the crowded lift. I'd wait for the next one, but one of the people in the lift grabbed a person from the outside lift and pulled them in. Say, "Oh, come on, join us!" And literally physically pulled them into the lift, and the doors closed and the lift got stuck. And I was so pleased that I did not do the right thing and say, "Oh yes, I'll come with you." No, no, no. I'll wait for the next one. And yeah, it was because it obviously reached the limit of the weight limit of the lift, so it just stopped, And you go, "Oh, thank goodness for that." But yeah, the opposite. Rather than
Mm.
keeping them out, you pull them in. You actively pull them in and
Yes.
force them into the lift.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the topic of boundaries that we can talk about for the next 5 hours.
Exactly. But on that, you can have some fun with lifts and everything else. I'll get into a lift, it'll be full of people. At the end of the day, everyone's ready to go home, and I'll get in. I won't turn around and look because everyone turns around and looks at the lights.
Yeah.
Everyone's there must be something about those lights that gets everyone's attraction. I'll get in and I'll just stand there and look at them. And then I'll just say to them, look, thank you everybody for turning up. The reason I called all of you here and that today to this meeting, and they should see the look on their faces. Some of them are up against the wall. They don't know where to look after that.
It's
And I was just thinking when you mentioned about the lift that got stuck, you can imagine the situation if that happened in that situation.
This is
yeah.
the thing is we can have some fun with this. It's always so serious and
Mm.
so task focused and so efficient and
Mm.
I
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
it just and you can be courteous and fun at the same time.
Can be, and there's something like the context of being in a lift or an elevator. That's probably the one time where social distance. We all have a space we need around us, quite apart from the COVID social distancing.
Mm.
But we like to have a bit of space. But in lifts, we accept that we're going to be sort of closer to people than normal. But isn't it funny when people actually start to get out of the lift on different floors? You make more space. You move into that empty space to create more space around you and for the other people that
Yeah.
remain in the lift. It's a fascinating little micro observation of human behavior.
The thing about space and also giving, offering people seats and all of that, that's a very cultural thing as well. Like if you go to Japan, you go to Tokyo during peak hour traffic, they will have people who push you into the train.
Yeah.
But my thing, I lived in Asia for 5 years and I learned how to deal with that proximity quite easily because there's a different attitude. There is still respect, even if I'm pushed against somebody's back. There is still respect. There is still an internal distance.
Mm.
Whereas here, it's a very different, people become aggressive.
Yes.
Mm.
People feel irritated. I remember going to Germany and for a trade show, and we had to get on a bus. And there were lots of people there. So I got on the bus the same way I would have gone on the train in Hong Kong. I just pushed my way in just so people could follow me and there would be more room. Oh my God. Young lady, don't you have any manners? Were you raised in a pigsty? It was a very different response. So it's just what I'm also saying is read the room. Just
Yes.
notice how people are behaving. How much space do they leave?
Yeah. Well, read the rules and read the room.
Mm.
as well, whatever that room might, whether it's a lift or an auditorium or whatever, or the inside of a bus or a train. So yeah,
Visual
indeed, and
senses will tell you their emotions, it'll tell you their energy and everything else. And
Yeah.
facial features will tell you those that need that space and who are quite comfortable standing close to people.
But
yeah,
you got to let go
Also,
of
know
that
the culture.
device.
Yeah, know the culture.
yeah,
Because if
yeah,
you're just staring at the phone, you're not going to be able to see how people look, and you don't see breathing, you don't see people's eye rolls, you don't see people's smiles. You can't connect with anybody.
and it comes back to awareness. It comes back to that active awareness and active listening, active observation, and
Mm.
to read the room and the situation. Yeah. So so Angela, do you want to take us out?
Sure. So, yes, hopefully we've given you some food for thought with regards to what does it mean to be courteous? What does it mean to be respectful? And just be mindful of creating small moments of connection. So let's continue building bridges of respect, one conversation at a time. Please join us next time.